Get ready for a thrilling finish in the NFC playoff race, who's to blame on the Buffalo Bills, and what the Jets are telling the rest of the league by not playing Tim Tebow. Up next on Sports Limelight, episode 68. Well, week 16, Drew, getting down to the end. How are you, partner?
Doing all right, dude. How have you been?
Oh, not too bad, thank you. And we say hello to our guest today. Hello, Dallas.
Hello, guys. Good to be on the show again.
Good
What's up, Dallas?
So 2 games left in the season, 2 huge games for the Giants and Cowboys, not so much for the Bills. Why don't we start there, Drew? I have a question for you. If you can assign blame on 4 units or 4 entities, GM Buddy Nix, Coach Chan Gailey, quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, or let's just say the Buffalo defense, whoever you want to assign to that. How do you rank the blame, and who do you think should be shown the door at the end of this 2012 season?
Well, he's only been head coach for 2 years, but I think the blame goes with Chan Gailey. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a decent quarterback. If you bring in a coach like Jim Harbaugh, I bet you he'll turn that team around, no doubt. They have the talent, and their defense should be better than it is. So I think it starts with the coach.
Are there any coaches available or projected to be becoming available that you would want?
Well, I don't know who's available, but I would like to see Bill Cowher come back. That'd be nice.
Ooh, a guy who is also rumored to be interested in the Giants job whenever Tom Coughlin retires.
I've heard his name with the Cardinals, with the Giants too, so we'll see what happens.
Now, Dallas, let's go to you. How do you feel these last 2 games are going to play out for the Cowboys?
I hope that they lose, to be perfectly honest, because I don't see this season going anywhere. They're way too banged up, too many injuries on the defensive side of the ball to actually make a legitimate push. So part of me just wishes that they would just lose and get it over with and stop stringing me along, because I just know it's destined to end in disappointment. But with that being said, I do think they've played surprisingly well the last couple weeks, given the injuries and everything that they have. They do have 2 tough games coming up. They could very easily get beat pretty bad. If they keep playing like they have the last 2 games, they could win. They got the Saints this week. They just came off a huge 41-0 blowout of Tampa Bay, so that scares me a little bit. And then it could be an interesting matchup at the end of the season with the Redskins for possibly the division or the wild card. So they could definitely win. If they keep playing the way they're playing right now, they could surprise people, even myself.
You always want that chance. If it's the choice between go to the playoffs or not go to the playoffs, even if you don't think they'll go far, I would say always go to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I know it might have even been the Giants last year when they won. Weren't they pretty banged up? I know at the start of the season they had several players out for the year. Not sure if they came back in time for the playoffs or not, but I remember them kind of being pretty banged up on the defensive side of the ball and maybe the offensive side of the ball. Is that right?
They were. They just seemed to get healthy at about the right time late in the season. That's kind of a good segue to the Giants as they stand now, with Kenny Phillips and Ahmad Bradshaw looking like they're going to be coming back. And while Phillips hasn't looked like a huge difference maker, I'll take the team's word for it and his teammates' word for it that he is. For instance, Stevie Brown, who's been filling in for Phillips, has 7 interceptions on the season. But then Phillips kind of half-jokingly has said, well, if I was in, they wouldn't have even thrown those passes.
After this loss to the Falcons, is this all part of their hustle, or are you guys really sweating this one out?
I'm sweating it. The thing of they've done this before, it's a new year. Every season is unique, and they're just as likely to make this like 2010 when they went 10-6 and missed the playoffs. Now, the good news this year is they have the tiebreakers and to their advantage in such a way that if they win out, they'll end up with the last wild card. With what I think is going to happen is the Cowboys and Redskins both win this week, and then Cowboys-Redskins in Week 17 is for the division, and then Seattle gets the first wild card.
Yeah, I think that's probably how it's going to play out. I think the Cowboys, like I said, they're playing hot right now. They could beat the Saints, and then Cowboys and Redskins are going to pretty much eliminate one or the other. So the Giants, yeah, you're right, they kind of just control their own destiny. And who did they finish the season with, the Giants?
They're at Baltimore and then home to Philadelphia.
Baltimore and Philadelphia, both winnable games. I wouldn't have thought the Baltimore game would have been quite as winnable as it appears it will be, just because they're kind of struggling right now.
Right, it's one of those games that at the beginning of the season, when Drew and I did our win-loss game, I think we both had this as a loss for the Giants. But yeah, Ravens not looking good. They've lost 3 in a row. They've still clinched the playoffs, and I'm hoping that kind of tapers down their motivation a bit to win this game. Dallas, you mentioned earlier that the Saints are coming into Dallas, coming off a huge 41-0 win. Would you rather your opponent have just won and kind of, you figure they're on a roll, or would you rather they've just lost, but then maybe they're hungrier or more desperate?
I would rather them have just lost, just because it probably means they're not, they don't have that momentum going into the game. The momentum thing kind of scares me. I don't know if too many teams in the NFL get overly confident week to week. It's possible, but I like to think that they're pretty, level-headed, and their coaches keep them under composure and stuff like that. But I guess I would rather them come in on a loss, just because I think that means they're probably not playing their best ball.
To add to Dallas, I think when the team loses, it creates more of a self-doubt within the team, so they're not sure how to respond next week or whatever. And it also depends on the team and the coaching. So, but I would definitely take a team that just lost.
Yeah, I think for the Cowboys, much like with the Giants, it was good fortune to get the Saints, in your place compared to having to go into the Dome where they're a totally different team.
Yeah, playing them in Dallas, that's going to make a big difference because Superdome gets pretty loud, just like Metrodome. I remember we played the Vikings one year in the playoffs, and that place was incredibly loud, and it pretty much, I would say, cost us the game. We just couldn't get the ball off. They were jumping the snap counts, getting to Romo. We were having false starts left and right. So, yeah, I think playing at home might give us the edge in this game. But I do think the Saints their confidence is high, even though they're out of the playoffs. They got, that victory over Roger Goodell, in a sense, and their team's all back together again, and they're kind of showing people what should have been maybe this season.
Yeah, I'm just hoping the Bills lose the rest of their games to get a good draft pick. Kansas City, Jacksonville are the 2 worst teams in the league, so we won't get that bad.
Are you guys 3rd worst?
We are 4th worst. And if you compare records, the Raiders are 4-10, and there's about 4 teams that are 5-9. So we're battling it out for essentially the 4th or 3rd spot.
Well, the draft is only 5 months away.
Once the season's over, all we have to talk about is NBA, which is Bill's favorite sport.
Oh, did it just get really cold in here? I felt chills. For me, it's the winter and spring months are more time to talk about Rush.
Did you guys go to that concert?
We sure did.
And how was it?
Amazing.
It was awesome, yeah.
Any other NFL thoughts, gentlemen?
Oh, yeah, the Jets. How about those Tebow chants and stuff?
What's the level of Tebow fever that you're hearing? Because I actually haven't been watching Jets games, and their last one was in Tennessee, right?
Dallas and I were actually hanging out that night, and I caught the last part of the game. Mark Sanchez, he threw 4 interceptions, and he fumbled pretty much the last snap of the game that could have won it for the Jets. So.
But they refused to go to Tebow.
Exactly. Rex Ryan was like, "This is impossible," blah, blah, blah.
Why don't they go to Tebow? Has anyone heard why they are just, spiting their fan base and going with McElroy instead of Tebow?
Because Rex Ryan is a fat foot fetish person.
Well said, Drew.
I'll provide a theory I heard that I like as well. Alternate to Drew's, perhaps. The idea is that the owner wanted Tebow and the coaching staff did not. Maybe the owner just wanted him for, jersey sales and had no intention of playing him for all we know.
It's worth a shot to play him. I mean, you see what he did in Denver when no one thought he could do anything there. He seems to have this presence that I don't know if it just inspires his teammates to play better around him or he's got God on his side. I don't know. But it seems like it'd be worth a chance. I mean, McElroy will probably still be there to try out after the Tebow project. I think they should try Tebow.
I completely agree. And they're basically wrecking this poor guy's career, like you said, after what he did last year, and now to, drive his value into the ground and basically be telling the rest of the league, we think this guy is so bad that, number one, we won't play him over Mark Sanchez, and number two, now this, 7th-round pick is going to play instead of him, the guy we traded a 4th-round pick specifically to get on our team.
I heard today that he's asking the team to either release him or trade him.
Wow, he's certainly been more than patient enough, to go this long before that request.
Dang, he came from the exact opposite, a team where the owners didn't want him, but the coach did. And on this one, the coach doesn't want him, but the owners do.
I think there are a few teams out there that could use a Tim Tebow. Cardinals, for example.
Bring him on,
Tim Tebow would be better here than anybody else we've seen since Kurt Warner. So.
Oh, yeah, a lot of teams with quarterback problems, right? Browns, Jaguars, to name a couple more.
Yeah, and if Vic keeps getting beat up, maybe the Eagles will take him.
I think they're feeling pretty good with
Oh,
Foles.
yeah, Nick Foles, that's right. I forgot about him.
He's had a couple mistakes and here and there, but I think he's overall proven that he's got the potential.
Yeah, and for them it also depends on what the next coach wants to do, because you figure this is the end for Andy Reid. So, was Foles a Reid guy, or was he, more of kind of a top-down organization pick? In that case, they'll stick with him.
There you go. What about Andy Reid to the Bills?
Only if we play every other week, because he's good after a bye week. Yeah, I mean, if that's what it takes, I'm open for anything. We have the talent, we have the players, something's not there.
I think he'd be better than Chan Gailey, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he was the Cowboys coach for 2 years, right?
Chan Gailey, yeah. I know a little bit about him.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much he's changed since then, but he was supposedly a very offensive-oriented coach, and he couldn't do anything with Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith. So, in my book, he's not a very good coach.
Yeah, he got fired after 2 years, and the record that he got fired with was 8-8. So I don't know why the Bills keep keeping him around. There's always next season, right, guys?
There
that
you
seems
go.
to be the closing statement every year for our teams. Well, not yours, Bill. You lucky guy.
Oh, thank you. I try to cherish it. I said to Drew sometime in between the Super Bowl and Week 1 of this year that I was so happy that they won, and I'll try to remember that this year when it's, and I gave a scenario that was oddly close to this, like when it's, Week 15 and they desperately need a win to get in the playoffs or, not be eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, it's definitely something to cherish. I know it's been far too long for my Cowboys to have been in the playoffs, but Super Bowl mostly, and I didn't really start to become a fan until those Super Bowls were won. I was about 9 years old when they won their first Super Bowl, and that's when I really, got into it because I felt like every season was going to be like that. And here I am, 2012, and haven't seen one since.
It's such a sad thing that it's been a while, but then on the plus side, that is a great age. Like you're kind of at your most impressionable age as a sports fan. So to have championships and to have a dynasty in your case from age like 9 to 13, that's pretty special too.
Yeah, I think it definitely made an impression on me and helped me to become the fan that I am today. And because of that and the length of time that I've had to wait for another one, I think the day that it happens, it will be an awesome feeling again.
Now, do you
Yes,
feel...
I cannot wait until the Bills lose another Super Bowl.
Oh.
Here's my prediction for Tim Tebow. He's going to go to the Chiefs and then face his old Denver rival.
Ooh, possible revenge on John Elway. Well, what do you say we wrap it up, gentlemen?
Well, this was a nice hangout session here on the Limelight.
Yeah, this was great. We got to do this more often.
Yeah, it's nice not being able to see your faces.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was going
Drew.
to say the same thing.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't mind looking at myself.
And I do look just like my silhouette, so I think that's fair.
You need some sun, Bill.
Yeah, you get a little pasty.
My neck, it's really hard to hold my head up with this thin neck, too. I'm like an Easter Island relic, just topple over at any moment here.
You are very symmetrical, though, I will say.
Yeah. If there's one thing I do well, it's symmetry. Sports Limelight, episode 68. Drew, thank you for joining me as always, this time via Google Chat.
My pleasure, and thank you, Dallas, for joining us.
It was my pleasure.
Have a good one, everybody.